Thanks HyperXD for your support, this video is dedicated to you. Let's start. The old couple looked at them with puzzlement and thought, were these three beggars? They looked so happy while eating weeds, it was really a pity. The old woman then said, that this girl was very beautiful, it would be great if little Lee married her. On the other side, Lee Fan sighed as there was little less firewood today, and it won't last long. At this moment someone shouted, Senior. Lee Fan turned around and was surprised to see the girl. He then asked the girl as who the other two people were. As the girl was exhausted she couldn't speak, but before that the two men spoke in an astonished voice. What kind of wonderland was this? The peach trees and chickens there were all of the void realm. The chicken being called out became angry and looked at him. The aura was so great, that the man felt unimaginable pain in his head and fell down. Lee Fan seeing this came hurriedly and asked him if he was fine. The old man couldn't reply as he himself was in another shock. He thought, how mighty is this guy? He just lightly touched me and all the aura from the chicken disappeared. The girl came running and said in a cheerful voice, Senior, these two are the elders of my sect, they wanted to meet you, so I came here abruptly. The boy was surprised hearing this. At this moment a task window appeared in front of him and a task was generated, keep the guests for a meal. Lee Fan smiled and then asked all of them to come in and have a meal. The trio were very happy hearing that and came in hurriedly. Lee Fan arranged everything in his room, and started preparing fresh food for them. But the simple food that he prepared looked like a heaven-grade medicine in the eyes of the trio. The two old men whispered among themselves that the senior intends to enlighten them both and they should not let down the good intentions of the senior. They quickly ate and finished up the food. But something magical happened to the three of them. The old man had never thought that he would break through the limit of his cultivation, and even his talent had improved a lot. Lee Fan came and picked up the old man. He thought, this old man was so excited after a meal, could it be that he came from a poor family? Lee Fan looked at him with pity and asked, Sir, why don't you drink some tea and calm down? The old man thanked him and drank the tea. But this tea was even more incredulous. It not only let his cultivation talent soar higher, but even made his past internal injuries disappear. The old man couldn't take it anymore and directly kowtowed in front of Lee Fan. He said, Senior's great kindness and virtue, this Yu Kashui would never forget it. The trio kneeled and shouted in unison, the great kindness of the senior, these juniors would never forget it. Lee Fan was taken aback by this and thought, just how poor were these people to become happy over a bowl of porridge and a cup of tea? At this moment he got a notification from the system, it's drawing time. He quickly told the kneeling trio to get up as it was embarrassing for him. He then tells them that he has other things to do and won't be able to see them off. The girl asked in a happy voice if she could visit him again in the future. Seeing that the girl was so excited, Lee Fan agreed to her request. After a while, the three of them got out of the house and were on their way to their sect. The old men thanked Qian for her quick-witted question as they would be able to visit this paradise again. But at this moment, a terrifying energy appeared ahead of them. It was a man with a mustache, he was burning with fire. He said in an arrogant tone towards the two old men, you two made it easy for me to find. The man in the sky laughed and said, Yu Kashui, it doesn't matter where you escape, today you either submit to my raging fire sect, or die. The old man replied with anger, did you really think that my Lihuo sect is easy to bully? Our cultivation is different today than in the past. The middle-aged man was surprised and said, this was the breath of perfection, how could this man master it? The man in the sky laughed and unleashed his attack. From the burning fire, two eerie-looking skeletons emerged. These skeletons sent chains towards the trio on the ground. The three of them became alert. The middle-aged man was shocked seeing this and shouted, Gongsun Chi, how dare you practice this evil cultivation method? The old man created a golden shield to save them, but it was all for naught. The shield broke into pieces and they both coughed out blood and fell down. The woman cried out in horror seeing this. The old man with a weak voice said, that skeleton, I am afraid that it is a magic weapon of the highest grade from the evil faction, it wouldn't even shake even if we combined all our powers. The girl was shocked hearing this and couldn't believe that a member of the Just faction was using such unorthodox techniques. Gongsun Chi laughed and said that the more his skeleton absorbs the power during a fight, the stronger he becomes. Now, if he absorbs all the people here, including this secluded village, he would step into the void stage in cultivation. The woman cried and begged him not to do this, as the people living in the village were innocent. On the other side, Li Fan was worried seeing the weather suddenly becoming strange. The winds were howling and it was probably going to rain. He sighed and murmured, "Gosh. This weather. Just don't damage my crops." This sentence of his unaware to him traveled towards the source of the bad weather, the skeleton formation. The voice resounded as a thunderclap and the skeletons were crushed into pieces by it as golden light dyed the sky. Gong Sun Chi was shocked seeing this, he couldn't comprehend what happened. But this was just the start, as before long, the golden light smashed into him, directly knocking him down from the sky. He was gravely injured, he started coughing out blood as he fell on the ground. Realizing that he was going to die here, he quickly took out a light green medallion and put a drop of blood into it. He chanted weakly, "Burn my blood and save me." Suddenly his body turned into fog as he disappeared into thin air. The woman seeing all this realized that it was Senior Li who had saved them. The old man also looked in awe, as he also heard the majestic voice of Senior Li. He also said that, as long as Senior Li lived here, this place would forever remain invincible, but before he could complete his sentence, he started coughing up blood, as he was injured severely. The woman told him to calm down, as his injury was serious. The old man sighed and said, "I don't know why the scars left by the chains on my body can't be removed." The woman spoke instantaneously, "Shall we ask Senior Li for help?" After a while, the trio walked towards the village once again. The old man felt helpless and said, "It was not long before we left and now once again, we had to go and ask Senior Li for help. I hope Senior won't find us annoying." The village atmosphere was lively, as several kids were playing and adults were going to the fields, the old people were basking the sun, and the women were preparing food for their husbands. A small kid was running away from the girl who insisted to show her the painting too. But the boy said that this was his and her painting would be finished tomorrow. The old man suddenly felt something and looked towards the bickering kids. He stopped and asked them politely, "Where did they get this painting?" The boy said that it was Brother Li who gave it to him. He became excited and opened up the scroll to show him the painting. He proudly said that Brother Li makes the best painting. The old man seeing this painting fell down. But it was not due to pain but pleasure. He moaned like a girl and said, "Such a powerful way of the sun." In front of this holy picture, all the evils were gone. It felt like all of his wounds got healed. The middle-aged man asked, could it be that Senior Li calculated that they would be hurt by the evil, so he deliberately asked the child to bring the painting in front of us? The old man said, for a character like Senior Li, nothing could escape his eyes, that Gong Sun Chi was able to leave safely. Maybe it was because Senior Li intentionally let him go. The woman asked in a worried voice, but what was the purpose of Senior Li's move? The old man sighed and said, he was afraid he didn't have the qualifications to know it yet. The old man continued, but Senior Li bestowed so many blessings, they must repay him with all their hearts. The woman blushed and said that she understood. She was thinking of something else, as she said, if Senior Li needed it, she was willing to give everything to him. On the other side, on top of a mountain, Li Fan was painting. He said in a frustrated tone, this system was too strict with its quests, he had to draw every day, sitting here. Unknown to Li Fan, there was a cat and mouse chase going on below the mountain. A tiger cub was running at fast speed and two bird beasts followed her. One of them shouted, be sure to catch her, the white tiger blood can help us transform into human beings. The tiger cub shouted in anger, stop chasing me, if you eat me, my father would not let you go. As the tiger cub was running, it spotted a golden energy from above. She saw a person with a painting brush, she was shocked and thought, how could there be such a strong flow of Tao? Well, now was not the time to think, maybe I'll go and ask him for help. She directly jumped from the ground towards the mountain where Li Fan was. On the other side, Li Fan was in a dilemma what to paint next. He had completed the drawing of hills, waterfalls, but thought something was missing. At this moment he saw a few bird beasts flying towards him. Seeing this, he suddenly found what he was missing. He quickly picked up the brush and started drawing the bird beasts in it. What happened next was even more amazing. The birds that were behind him all were sucked inside the painting. Li Fan was happy seeing his painting completed. He then turned around, but was surprised to find out that the birds had disappeared. He then thought, maybe they flew away. The white tiger was petrified seeing this and thought, this was impossible. Those three divine beasts that surpassed the realm of the void were actually drawn into the painting. Would she be the next? Li Fan turned around and muttered, there seems to be something else here. The tiger seeing this got into a fighting position, and thought I don't have any options left, I have to use that trick, which no human could ever resist. She opened a blue invisible portal in front of her, and went through it. But what came out from the other side was not the scary white tiger, instead a cute little cat. Li Fan sighed, as this was just a little cat. He was surprised to see such a beautiful cat in the wilderness. The cat felt proud of her appearance. But in the next moment, she was shocked to see the man in front of her move his hand towards her. Li Fan then hugged the cat tightly and played with her fluffy fur. The cat was screaming in horror. Li Fan then touched a sensitive spot on the cat, making it moan in pleasure. At this moment, a notification rang in Li Fan's head and a new task was generated: adopt the white cat as a pet. Seeing that, he became even more happy, as he had already decided to take her home. After some time, the cat was inside Li Fan's home, and was shocked to see the normal-looking chickens and trees. Because on the surface, they might look like ordinary things, but in reality they were very scary and powerful. A chicken suddenly sensed her gaze and looked at her. The cat immediately became terrified and stepped back. But because of the sudden jump, her balance broke and she fell down. But before she could touch on the ground, Li Fan caught her. He then asked in a worried voice, how did you fall? Are you hungry? He then hugged the cat and took her. As the cat was going, it smirked towards the beasts. The cat was happy as it had figured out the secret of how these normal trees and chickens became so godlike. It was because, the more they were with their master, the more powerful they became. But from today onwards, she would always be near him and keep on absorbing the Tao energy released by him and grow to become invincible. Li Fan smiled seeing the excited cat and told her to eat this thing which he made. The cat licked his hands in an erotic way and gulped the food. Li Fan blushed and immediately took of his hands. He thought, what was that? Maybe as he was single for too long, he started having weird fantasies. He then got up and left. The cat grinned and thought, it turned out that when you are embarrassed, your energy flow gets uneven, and a lot of spiritual energy is leaked. I will keep on absorbing it and grow stronger. Time passed and soon it became nighttime. Li Fan was in deep sleep, but the cat was awake. All of a sudden, something magical happened. The cat transformed into a beautiful girl, with silver hair and cat ears. She then sneaked on top of him and felt the spiritual energy leaking from him. She then slowly whispered in his ear, Sir, dear sir. Li Fan slowly opened his eyes. He looked at her with half-open eyes, and realized that he was dreaming. He blushed in his dream and mumbled, what a beautiful dream, please come true. The cat girl became happy as she felt his aura become uneven, making the spiritual energy from him multiply. She then slowly snuck into the blanket and thought, if she were to live in this neighborhood every day, she would turn into a pureblood beast just by sleeping next to him. The cat girl finally fell asleep with a satisfied smile on her face. On the other side, inside a large decorated hall, the atmosphere was tense. The woman asked the old man, Master, do you really want to do this? The old man said, well, I believe that Senior Li is playing a game of Taigi. He helped us, so as to give us a chance. He wanted us to be his pawns. Gongsun Qi of the Li Yan sect must have angered Senior Li, and it would be shameful for Senior Li to kill him directly, so we have to play the role of pawns and declare war on the Li Yan sect. All the people in the hall were shocked hearing this. They couldn't believe what they heard. Declare war? That too with Li Yan sect? That's all for this video. As you know, this channel had been demonetized by YouTube recently, and I have no other source of income. If you want to donate something to let this channel going, then please support me on Ko-fi, the link is in description.